All right, this one is a little different. The last couple of videos I've made have been about laptops, but this guy, you probably can't tell from the front. I mean, if you're really good, maybe you could, but I bet if I lock it, turn it over, you can probably determine, I mean, not, seeing the emblem right there, but just from the design of the phone, you can probably determine that, hey, this is at least one of the Pixel 6s. Which one particularly, you might not be able to figure out immediately, but this is the Pixel 6a. I just got this about 2 or 3 days ago, and I have not been using it as my main phone, but I have been playing around with it to try to get a better understanding of what people were saying when it comes to this device. So, I personally have not had many issues with the phone. I am enjoying it. I will say that. For what I've been doing is mainly just watching YouTube videos on it. Have not made a phone call on it yet. I will. I've taken a couple of pictures, nothing spectacular, but I also don't usually take a lot of photos. So I'm not the best person to try to, I guess, pixel peep when it comes to phone camera quality. But for users who are complaining and saying they're having a bunch of issues, it's important to not discredit anything that they're saying. But I just haven't experienced any issues. And again, I've only had it for a couple of days. I'm not even using it as my main phone. I'm really just playing around with it. And I'll probably end up giving it to my dad because he currently has a Pixel 4. And I buy him Pixels on purpose because it allows me to know that, well, even though they aren't the most popular device, they'll continue to receive their monthly security updates as well as their annual operating system upgrades. And yeah, I'll buy them Pixel, and then it'll be good for a couple years, and I'll buy them another one. Bought them a Pixel 2, 4, and now, oh wow, I just realized that. 246. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, I just realized that. But this is the first time, and actually, no, I bought him the Pixel 4. Man, I guess I really need to pay better attention. So I think I bought him the Pixel 4 the summer before the Pixel 5 was released. So it had been out for, less than a year. Man, they really need to support their phones longer. I mean, I know with the Tensor chip, they're supposed to be giving you 5 years of security updates and however many years of operating system upgrades. But yeah, you have an iPhone. This is, 5 to 7 years worth of support. I mean, I don't know if anything's gotten 7 yet, but the 6S has been around for a while. But back to the Pixel 6a. One thing that I noticed that a lot of people were complaining about was the fingerprint scanner in terms of how slow it is. Now, is it slow? Not really. But do faster ones exist? Yes. Okay. And I wish I wasn't recording on my S22 right now because that's what I'm using. But I will say that they are different types of under or in display fingerprint sensors. One's, I think, optical and the other one's ultrasonic, but in doing so, the one on the Galaxy is noticeably faster to the point where I'll just touch it and that time for it to, oopsie, that actually worked pretty quickly. But I feel like it's consistently quick on the S22. See? And again, it's not bad on the Pixel 6a, but some people complain about it. Now, the one thing I will say when it comes to these in-display fingerprint readers is I question the point of them. I'm trying to conceptualize the reason why an in or under display fingerprint reader is better than just a dedicated piece of hardware when there's hardware inside the phone now instead of hardware being on the outside of the phone. So as I mentioned, I did get my dad a Pixel 2. And here it is, because I sent him the Pixel 4, and then, a while later, I asked him to send me this one back. And I've been using it as my phone when I go to the gym. Long story, I'm sure people don't care about why I have a dedicated gym phone, but I do. But as you can see, this has a dedicated piece of hardware for the fingerprint reader. And I'm not going to say it's any faster or slower. I mean, like, boom, just unlocked it. And I'm going to tap it. Like, it's pretty quick, okay? It is definitely pretty quick. And I question, why do we need to, what's the point of this? I mean, I get the back now doesn't have anything on it, but it seems like it's just a better option, I mean, what's better about it? I get You get a bigger screen for some people. That's okay. I have, more real estate to use. You get a higher resolution screen. Okay, things look better. You get a higher refresh rate screen. Okay, things are smoother. Bigger speakers, hopefully you're louder, sound better. USB-C compared to micro USB, more universal. I'm able to transfer things better or faster. Just charging speeds are improved. Everything I tried to understand why would a company or all the companies go that route. And this in-display one, I just don't fully understand what the point of it is. Water resistance, okay, I get, yeah, if there's not a dedicated button on the back, one less thing to potentially get wet or allow moisture into the phone. When making the back glass, instead of having to have a dedicated cutout, like the time to cut that out and then put the button in, just having a piece of glass or plastic, okay, I can kind of understand that. But for so many of us, for such a long time, I feel we pick the phone up and our finger immediately goes back there and it's unlocked. And it's just kind of naturally how you pick the phone up. So phone is down, pick it up. My index finger is already going towards the fingerprint reader. And by the time I have the phone turned over, boom, I'm ready to unlock it. Whereas with this 6A, I mean, yeah, I'm using my thumb as opposed to my index finger. But, I pick it up. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's okay. At the end of the day, it's not that much of an inconvenience. It's just like right now, my finger is resting on the back of the phone, close to where the fingerprint reader would be. So why not keep it? But hey, they're going to do what they want to do, and who am I to argue? Especially if I'm willing to give somebody some money for the product. Didn't give it directly to Google. I did buy it third party. So the other thing that I would complain about, this is just personal preference. This has nothing to do with the phone itself. It's just, hey, it is what it is. So this is an iPhone 12 mini. Okay. As you can see, there is a noticeable size difference. And I enjoy using this as a phone. I enjoy the amount of space it takes up in my pocket, which is not much. And that's it. And in one of my other videos, I said, yeah, I even bought a MacBook because, I still do a decent amount of texting and I don't like staring at this little guy. So there'll be plenty of times where I'll pull out the Mac if I'm home and I'll respond to text messages on that as opposed to on this little guy. So that brings me to overall screen sizes. And I think this is 5.4 inches. But, because of the notch, and I'm sure they, say really from this edge to that edge, even though there's a bunch of non-usable space in the middle. Yeah. But anyway, 5.4 inches. That's good for a phone that I can carry around. It's pocketable. But yeah, you probably do sacrifice some overall user experience, depending on who you are, because the screen is so small. Now I'm going to move this aside. And I wish I had more, but bringing this Pixel 2 back into display. So as I think this is a 5-inch screen. I generally do forget the exact measurements of it. But as you can notice, though, there are pretty thick bezels along the top and bottom. I know I have a black background, so it might be a little harder to see. Okay, I changed the background so you can see where the screen actually stops and where the bezels begin. So yeah, there are substantial bezels on this thing, which for me are not a problem. All right. And I get as a phone vendor, you're going to want to do your things to maximize your screen to body ratio. So what happens? You have a screen. It works. You have nice front facing speakers, which to me, again, are preferred. And if I still had my Pixel 3, I'd show you that the size of the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 3 are really similar, if not identical. But what did they do? They pushed these bezels up just a little bit, up and down a little bit, to give you a little more screen real estate. So that's the progress or the direction there we're going is we want to kind of keep the size of the phone the same, and then we'll just be able to minimize the bezels and then increase the screen to body ratio. Again, if I still had my Pixel 4a, you'd see that the physical shape of the phone, or the physical size of the phone, is very similar to this Pixel 2. But at that point, we're saying, all right, we're done with the bezels. We just have a single cutout for the camera, and now we have a really high screen to body ratio. But what happens when you get rid of these bezels? Yes, you have to keep some type of ear speaker up here. I mean, a lot of vendors are hiding it up here, but this bottom speaker becomes a downward facing speaker. So now you no longer even have dual front facing speakers, which for me, I think is a downgrade. I'd much rather have this be with the bezels and have, like, if I'm watching YouTube, turn the phone sideways, I have two speakers firing directly at me as opposed to one firing away from me, and then the weaker one being the one that actually fires in my direction. I'm okay with this, but the public, I guess, is not. So what ends up happening after the Pixel 4 or the 4a? The 4 was a little different, but the 4a, similar to this in size, bezels or whatever. The 5 is very similar to the 4a. Did the 4a come out after the 5? I forget. It might have, actually. So the design language is the same. Shape or size of the phone relatively similar, but when you get to the sixes, what happens? Okay, they increase the size of the phone. Okay, now you have to take my word for it. The Pixel 5, which is the predecessor to this, which of course, if we're talking internals and flex, whatever, just it was a smaller phone. Something else that I would have found pocketable. But with these 6s, they are definitely bigger phones. And again, this is the 6A. So of the 3 6s, this is the smallest one. And you can already see that it's a little bit bigger. Is it wider? I think it might actually be. It's average. It is a little wider. I mean, it's there's spec sheets online. If you want the spec sheets, by all means, go read them. And for me, when